Everyone thought my sister won when she got the guy, the house, and the spotlight. But what they didn't know was, the house was mine. And I wasn't just taking back property. I was reclaiming my voice, my worth, and everything they tried to erase. This isn't just revenge, it's a reckoning. I stood in my parents' marble-floored foyer, watching my sister twirl her champagne glass with that familiar smirk I'd grown to hate. The crystal chandelier above us, the one I technically owned, cast dancing shadows across her perfect face. My name is Taylor. And I was about to watch my younger sister steal my ex-boyfriend again. Taylor, darling, you could have at least worn the dress I sent you, my mother said, adjusting my blazer with disapproving fingers. This is your father's 60th anniversary party, not a business meeting. I stepped away from her touch. I'm comfortable, like this, Mom. The house buzzed with the typical Richardson family gathering energy, fake laughs, clinking glasses, and the constant undercurrent of judgment I'd helped set up earlier. Arranging flowers in the grand entrance and positioning appetizer tables throughout the living room. Not because anyone asked me to, but because some part of me still craved their approval. Oh my God, is that Connor? My mother's eyes lit up as she spotted him entering through the front door. My stomach dropped. Connor. My ex, the man who disappeared from my life 3 years ago, with nothing but a text message and a box of my things left on my doorstep. He looked the same, tall, perfectly styled dark hair. That disarming smile that had once made my knees weak. Mrs. Richardson. He embraced my mother like he'd never broken her daughter's heart. The house looks amazing, doesn't it? We just had the floors redone, she beamed, conveniently forgetting who had paid for those floors. I turned to escape to the kitchen, but Ella's voice rang out above the party chatter. Everyone, could I have your attention, please? The room fell silent. Ella stood on the bottom step of the grand staircase, radiant in her red designer dress. Connor moved to stand beside her, and my blood ran cold. First, I want to thank everyone for coming to celebrate Mom and Dad's anniversary, Ella started, her voice dripping with rehearsed sweetness. But Connor and I have an announcement of our own to make. No. We're engaged. The room erupted in cheers and congratulations. My father rushed forward to shake Connor's hand. My mother burst into tears of joy. I stood frozen, gripping my champagne glass so tight I thought it might shatter. Isn't it wonderful? My mother grabbed my arm. Your sister is getting married, and to Connor of all people. We always loved him, you know. Yeah, I managed. Wonderful. Ella floated through the crowd, showing off her enormous diamond ring. When she reached me, her smile turned razor sharp. What do you think, big sister? He picked it out himself. Bigger than the one he was going to give you, isn't it? I met her eyes. How long? What? How long were you seeing him before we broke up? She laughed high and falsely. Oh, Taylor, always so paranoid. Connor and I only got together 6 months, after you two ended things. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Looks like I win again. Just like always. I watched her glide away, back to our beaming parents and her glowing feet. My chest felt tight, but not from heartbreak. No, this was different. This was rage, cold and clarifying. Taylor, it was Desiree, my best friend, touching my arm gently. You okay? I need some air. I walked out to my car, my heels clicking against the driveway my money had repaved. The night air was cool against my burning cheeks. I popped the trunk and reached for the sealed manila envelope I'd been carrying around for months, just waiting for the right moment. Inside was the property deed, 247 Maple Avenue, this very house. The house my parents had nearly lost during the financial crisis. The house I'd secretly bought to save them from foreclosure. The house where my sister just announced she'd be having her dream wedding. I ran my fingers over the embossed legal seal, remembering how my family had never bothered to read the fine print. How they'd assumed Dad's name was on the deed. How they'd forgotten all about my loan once their social status was secure again. My phone buzzed. A text from Moyes, my lawyer. I smiled, tucking the envelope under my arm. Ella wanted to have her perfect wedding in my house. Fine, but first, she'd learn what it felt like to lose something she thought was hers. Game on, little sister, I whispered, walking back toward the party. Game on. The next morning, the front of Taylor's office building gleamed with early sunlight, casting long shadows across the glass exterior. Inside her office, Taylor sipped her black coffee and stared at the stack of trespass notices on her desk. Each document felt heavier than it looked, as though it carried the weight of years of betrayal. She didn't flinch when her assistant knocked on the door. "Miss Richardson, there's a man downstairs. Says his name is Connor." Taylor set her cup down slowly. "Send him up." Connor walked in minutes later, eyes tired, his tie askew. He looked like someone who had slept in a car or, not at all. "Taylor, I know I have no right to be here," he began. "No, you don't," she replied coldly. He sat down across from her anyway. "Please, hear me out." Taylor leaned back in her chair, arms folded. 5 minutes, he exhaled. "I never wanted to get engaged to Ella. She threatened me." Taylor raised an eyebrow. "Threatened you?" "She found out about some financial discrepancies at my old job. Embezzlement. She said if I didn't propose and play along, she'd tell the firm and the press." Taylor studied him. "And yet you showed up at my father's anniversary party like the prodigal son. I didn't know you'd be there. And when I saw you, it changed everything." Taylor's stomach turned. "So what was the plan? Marry her, move into the house, and hope I'd forgive you in time for the divorce settlement?" Connor flinched. "It wasn't like that." She stood. "You need to leave." Just then, the door flew open. Ella stormed in, makeup streaked, eyes wild. She held her phone out. "You bastard. You sent me a breakup text." Connor stood, stunned. "Ella, I save it," she snapped. Then she turned on Taylor. "This is what you wanted, isn't it? To ruin me. To ruin everything." "Ella," Taylor said calmly, "you ruined it yourself. I just stopped letting you get away with it." Ella's lip quivered. "I didn't even want him, I wanted to beat you. At something. Anything. I'm so tired of being second best." Taylor's voice softened. "Then stop trying to be me. Start being you." Connor cleared his throat. "I'll go." "Please do," both sisters said in unison. He left without another word. Ella collapsed into a chair, covering her face. "I'm a mess. I'm pathetic." "You're not pathetic," Taylor said. "You're just stuck. Like I was." Ella peered at her through her fingers. "How do you even begin to fix this?" Taylor slid a card across the table. "My therapist. And we can talk. But it has to be real this time. No lies, no games." Ella took the card. Eyes wide. "You'd do that? After everything?" Taylor nodded. "Because sometimes the only way out is through, and I'm tired of pretending, too." That evening, Taylor returned home to find her parents on the front steps. Her mother crying into a lace handkerchief and her father pacing. "You came to check on your chest pains?" Taylor asked flatly. Her mother stood. "How dare you? After everything we've done for you." Taylor laughed bitterly. "Everything you've done for me. Like letting Ella announce her wedding in a house she doesn't own. Or watching me pay for everything while calling it a favor to the family." Her father's face turned red. "You're humiliating us. The media is calling. My golf club, then maybe don't lie and manipulate your daughter who owns your house." Taylor said. Ella arrived behind them, followed closely by Esther. "Reporters are camped outside my apartment." "Mom, did you talk to a journalist at the club?" "I was telling the truth," their mother cried. "You wouldn't know the truth if it evicted you." Ella muttered. Esther put a hand on Taylor's shoulder. "Want me to call security?" Taylor shook her head. "We're fine. They're just leaving." Her father narrowed his eyes. "This isn't over, no," Taylor said, opening the door. "It's just beginning." The next day, the listing for 47 Maple Avenue went live. Taylor stood in the newly painted living room, the smell of fresh paint and closure filling her lungs. Ella joined her, adjusting the throw pillows. "Open house tomorrow. You ready?" Taylor nodded. "Just one more thing." Moise arrived with a thick folder. "Sign here, and here. Then it's official." She signed each page slowly, then looked up at her sister. "Ever think we'd get here?" Ella smiled. "No, but I like this version of us better." A notification popped up on Taylor's phone. A message, from Connor, "Moving to Seattle. You both deserved better." "I'm sorry, delete," Ella asked. "Delete." Moments later, their parents pulled into the driveway. Taylor and Ella stood side by side. Their mother stepped inside, face pale. "What have you done to the house?" "Cleaned it," Ella said. "Of memories and illusions." Their father's jaw tightened. "You're making a mistake. Families don't do this to each other." "We're not a family," Taylor said. "We're survivors of one." Desiree stepped in. "Security's waiting outside." "Want them to? Escort your guests." "We're leaving," their father said as they left. Ella touched the wall. then looked at Taylor. What now? Taylor smiled. Lunch, then therapy, then maybe something new. They walked out together. No more roles. No more games. Just two women finally becoming sisters. And for Taylor, the revenge wasn't the eviction. It was freedom. The morning of the open house arrived with soft gray skies and a light breeze drifting through the streets. Taylor stood by the front window of 47 Maple Avenue, watching early potential buyers pull up in sleek sedans and practical SUVs. Ella adjusted the last piece of staging, a minimalist vase of tulips on the hallway table, then joined her. Sister, looks good, Ella said. Feels different. It is different, Taylor replied. This house finally feels like a clean slate. At noon, the door opened to a young family with 3 kids. The children dashed into the living room, giggling, while the parents looked around, visibly impressed. We love the layout, the father said. We've been looking for a fresh start. Taylor exchanged a knowing look with Ella. We know exactly what you mean. By the time the last visitors left, Taylor's phone buzzed with 3 offers, one well over asking. Ella locked the front door behind them, then leaned against it. I can't believe this place is almost gone. It needed to happen, Taylor said. We both did. They headed downtown for lunch, their new tradition. Over pasta and bitter coffee, Ella pulled out a folded piece of paper. I wrote something. For therapy. Want to hear it? Taylor nodded. It starts, I used to believe that love had to be earned by outperforming everyone around me, especially my sister. But now I know that love doesn't come with trophies and neither does peace. Taylor blinked. That's beautiful. Ella smiled shyly. I'm trying. Just then, Taylor's phone rang. Moise. Bad news? Ella asked. No, Taylor said after hanging up. The house is officially under contract. Escrow starts Monday. Ella let out a low whistle. Wow, it's happening. That evening, Taylor returned home to find a small envelope wedged in the mailbox. No return address. Inside, a single piece of paper, a handwritten letter from her mother. Taylor, I still don't agree with how you handled things. But maybe that's because I never taught you how to say no, or how to protect yourself without guilt. That's on me. If you're willing, I'd like to try again. Not as your mother, but as someone learning how to be better. Love, Aaron. Taylor sat on the front steps, reading it again. For the first time, the words felt less like manipulation and more like the start of accountability. She texted Ella a photo of the letter. Ella replied instantly. Holy crap, did she get abducted and replaced? Taylor laughed. Maybe therapy is contagious. 3 days later, they met their parents at the therapist's office, neutral ground. The room was sterile but safe, with low lighting and walls painted pale green. Their father sat with arms folded. Their mother's hands trembled in her lap. The therapist, a soft-spoken woman named Dr. Yasmin, opened the floor. Ella went first. I don't want to fight anymore. I just want to be able to breathe when I walk into a room with you two. Their mother looked away. We tried our best. No, Taylor said quietly. You tried to preserve your image. There's a difference. Their father scoffed. This is all because we weren't perfect. No, Taylor said. It's because you treated love like a transaction, and me like an account you overdrew. The silence was brutal, but necessary. By the end of the session, their mother whispered, I didn't know how to raise daughters who didn't need me. You could have tried to love us anyway, Ella replied. Outside, the air felt lighter again. Want to come to the final walkthrough tomorrow? Taylor asked her parents. They nodded, not in forgiveness, but in fragile progress. The next morning, the new buyers arrived early, smiles wide and hopeful. Taylor handed over the keys. Ella gave them a bottle of wine. Make better memories here than we did, she said, as the family stepped inside. The door shut behind them with a soft click. A chapter closed. Taylor and Ella stood in silence. What now? Ella asked. Taylor smiled. Now we build something new. 2 months later, Taylor stood in front of a newly renovated office space with a sleek black sign that read, Harper & Lane Realty, a new chapter begins. Ella appeared beside her, holding 2 takeaway coffees and grinning. Your name came first, she teased. Only because you lost the coin toss, Taylor replied, accepting her coffee. They exchanged a look filled with something rare. Peace. Business had picked up quickly. Their first listing had sold within days, and word had spread about the sisters who turned a family feud into a powerhouse real estate firm. Their story had gone viral after a local journalist published a heartfelt editorial titled "Forgiveness" with a for sale sign. Inside the office, Esther waited with a clipboard. "You've got 3 closings today and a new client interested in a joint venture downtown," Ardiella asked. "I was hoping to sneak in a nap." "You can nap in 2035, Esther quipped. "Let's get to work." By late afternoon, the sisters wrapped up the last of their meetings. As the sun dipped below the skyline, Taylor checked her phone. A new message from their mother. "Dinner next Sunday. Your dad wants to come too. No pressure, just ... maybe." Taylor stared at the screen. "Another emotional ambush?" Ella asked. "Maybe, but at least this time, we choose to walk into it or not." They agreed to go with boundaries. That Sunday, they arrived at a modest bistro halfway between their parents' condo and downtown. To Taylor's surprise, her mother didn't start crying, and her father didn't bring up lawsuits. Instead, their mother offered, "We've started seeing Dr. Yasmin together. We figured, if we asked you to change, we should too." It wasn't a grand apology, but it was real. Ella raised her glass. "To whatever this is." Taylor clinked hers. To do better. The following week, they hosted their first community workshop, Empowerment Through Ownership, teaching young women how to navigate real estate and build financial independence. The room was packed during a Q&A. A teenager raised her hand and asked, "What do you do if your family doesn't believe in you?" Taylor took a deep breath. "You believe in yourself first. Then you build a life so solid, their disbelief becomes background noise." Ella added, "And maybe, if you're lucky, they'll learn to believe in you too, once you stop asking for it." After the session, they stood together at the back of the room. "You know," Taylor said, "I used to think revenge meant proving them wrong. And now," Ella asked, "now I think it means living a life where they no longer have the power to define me." That night, as they locked up the office, a light breeze carried laughter from a nearby cafe. It felt like the world had changed, or maybe just their place in it. Taylor paused at the door. "Want to grab dinner? No family, no drama, just sisters." Ella grinned. "God, yes." And as they walked down the street side by side, no longer rivals, no longer roles, just real, the past finally loosened its grip.